Yes, good morning. The countdown is definitely on now. It's 364 days to the next general election. We launched our countdown officially yesterday evening. Sasa ni kwenda nywe. Christmas itapose kidogo. Tungoje elections 2027. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Karibu sana. This is a TV47 breakfast. How hot is your coffee?
Right. My name is UDA-ODM. Karibu sana. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. So much to update you on this morning. As you can see on your screen, we are already doing the countdown. 364 days. That thing rolling hapo chini. That is the countdown we are making. Ndio usisahau, there will be a drive come January for people who are not yet registered to vote.
Yes.
Yeah, so at least hiyo ni ya kukukumbusha. You know, nowadays they say kuna shughuli inahitaji mbogi. Yeah.
Bado ni kwa lele mtoto nimewaacha nje.
But you know, good thing about ya nini? Niliona party leader Uhuru Odinga anajua what bag ni ya nini.
Party leader anajua bag ni ya nini na yeye bado niko nyuma.
Yes, so we're already doing the countdown. It's a packed show for you today this morning. Yeah.
You can see the front pages are very busy today. Everyone is trying to do the countdown. The Daily Nation is talking about decision 2027. The Standard is talking about road to general election. And I think everyone, Taifa Leo anasema maamuzi mwaka 2027. Everyone is talking about this countdown.
Yeah.
Yes, we're officially into that election year. Plus, we're only a day before that big conversation that the president talked about.
Oh, wow.
Vision 2060.
Right.
Tomorrow. National discussion. How it's going to happen, we still do not know. We're expecting at least clarity within the day. Where will this conversation be? Who will attend? Will common Kenyans attend? Mwananchi? And what will your contribution be? So quite a lot to discuss today. And plus what happened to the UDA-ODM meeting yesterday in Naivasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been concluded?
Yes.
Ilisha jana?
Jana walikubaliana mambo mengi sana. Mambo mengi sana. That they are indeed going to form a coalition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A winning coalition.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking at that because it's it's in one of the dailies this morning. Yes. So to interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. Our next is TV47 Digital. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
Mine is at Fred Ndimuli, and it's a very cold morning here in Nairobi. Yeah.
Naenda na Juma ulimi and I'm rushing to malize tuangalie weather inakaa vipi.
Unafikiria ukiangalia weather itachange?
Tujue ndo nijue kwa nini kuna baridi hivyo. All right, let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, let's see how the weather's looking this morning. It's a cloudy day in Nyeri today, 12 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. It's a partly sunny day in Kisii, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. A mostly cloudy day in Elgeyo Marakwet, 9 degrees this morning, highs of 18 degrees. In Embu, it's a cloudy day, 12 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees. Machakos, a mostly cloudy day today, highs of 24 degrees. This morning is 12 degrees. And Nairobi, highs of 25 degrees today. This morning is 13 degrees. That's the state of the weather.
Wanasema it's 13 degrees in Nairobi. No, it feels like 8.
I'm thinking Kiambu maybe may spill over to Nairobi.
Hata ukiangalia Kiambu si mbaya sana.
Ni ngapi? No, Kiambu it's cold. And there are 18 counties actually on high alert of the El Nino. 18 counties, including Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, Kisumu, Tana River, among other counties. El
Nino should give Nairobi a break, surely. We're doing badly already.
We are on high alert.
Ni sawa tu. All right, let's get some morning inspiration with the quote of the day.
Why am I so confused?
Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen.
All right, some want it to happen, some wish it could happen, but others do it actually. So what are you up to? It's the election year, make it happen. Run for that office. So ukonda kwa MP seme. Do it. Don't just wish it. All right.
Let's take a look at the dailies now in depth.
right, and the Standard, I think, has the most apt headline for this. Game of numbers. That's a big headline on the front page. And today it's a very busy front pages. This one has faces of so many different people and the numbers they claim or they are assumed to be having. Rigathi Gachagua, Mount Kenya, Block 5.7. Yeah. Kuna wengine Nairobi County, 2.4 million. 2.2 million Western. Nyanza, 3.1 million. Eastern Block, 1.7 million. North Rift, 2.36 million. Coast, 2.2 million. Yes. Road to general election, this is what the Standard calls it. 50% plus one. President William Ruto squeaked past the 50% plus one threshold in 2022 with 50.5% of the vote, drawing more than 3.5 million of his 7.1 million votes from Mount Kenya. But his grip on the mountain has since loosened, with his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua tightening his hold on the region after their bitter political divorce. Now, Ruto's UDA is now at the negotiating table with ODM, crunching the numbers for a second-term bid as opposition leaders race to unite and wrestle him from power amid criticism over corruption and poor governance. With 1 year to the 2027 general election, alliances are shifting, the numbers are being crunched, and the stakes could not be higher. Yesterday, we saw the Daily Nation do something similar, an extensive coverage on 10 different pages. Today, it's the Standard stand. They do it on page 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Wamewapiga. Nafikisha 12 pages of the countdown to the next election. Let's just look at some of the angles they've been following. On the front page, they look at the numbers. Kulendani, page 3, Ruto called out over wanton spending during State House visits. Goons threaten credible polls. The numbers games, yes, that the focus on how the numbers will play out. Sai kila mtu anatoka na calculator. The 13th Parliament grabs House of Corruption title. I like that one. Sababu ni ukweli. 1 year to the polls, IEBC battles leadership gaps, a finding crutch. You know, yesterday, the IEBC was supposed to appear on our show. But none of the commissioners was available, neither were the members of the secretariat. So we were just talking about IEBC in absentia. Yeah, very unfortunate. They are not doing media now. Okay.
That's what they said.
Okay.
That's
you will do media.
You will do it, whether you like it or not.
From AI to Boma Stali, the court battles that could put polls in limbo. That's about issues to do with live streaming and the use of AI, which is very interesting. Selective justice, a year to poll, war on incitement seems biased. It's another discussion. Ruto's healthcare for all promise remains elusive for as election nears. Nani nyingi. 2/3 rule is another big discussion. Will 2027 finally be the year? And they have very beautiful photos of so many different women in leadership, women in politics. Yeah. Ruto Oburu turn up heat as UDA and ODM hunt for 2027 polls. Yeah. And I'm telling you, apart from all this political story, the only other story is a court has detained an officer and a rider and as well as a driver linked to Mutiso's death. That murder that we've been following for weeks now. That's the only other story that the Standard has focused on the front pages. Back page, Matter Sports. It's now to prayers after Nairobi bids to host World Athletics event. And Nairobi has officially entered the race to stage the 2029 World Athletics Championships after Athletics Kenya submitted the country's formal bid to host the global showpiece. That's the biggest story in as far as sports is concerned. FIFA President Gianni Infantino also finds himself on the back page of the Standard today. What next for beleaguered FIFA president? And that's the Standard.
All right, tuangalie Taifa Leo, lazima tushinde. That's the main headline here, that Rais William Ruto na kinara wa ODM Daktari Oburu Oginga jana walibuni kamati ya watu 5 kutoka kila upande ili kuibuka na manifesto ambayo watatumia kujivumisha kuelekea uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Wawili hao jana waliwaambia viongozi wa serikali jumuishi hawana hiari ila tu kushinda uchaguzi mkuu. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili. Wanasema kwamba Rais Ruto akisisitiza kuwa ni vigumu kuwazia uwezekano wa UDA na ODM kushindwa mwaka 2027. You know what Party Leader Oburu Odinga said?
Yes.
We are damn serious. We are damn serious about winning this.
Damn serious.
We are damn serious.
Bag ni ya nini?
Party leader is overworking. That story is on page 2. Vidokezo zaidi, they also make mention of that case, Victoria Mutisa's case. Magenge ya kisiasa yatishia kura ya mwaka ujao. Wadadisi na wataalamu wa usalama waonyo kuwa vijana wasio na ajira huenda watumiwe na wanasiasa kuchochea vurugu wakati wa kampeni. Gavana Godhana aidhinishwa kuongoza FPKA. Chama hicho cha Pwani kinalenga kuunganisha wakazi wa kaunti zote 6 ili kuzungumza kwa sauti moja kuhusu maslahi yao. Kule juu, Mudavadi na Weta wasema Sifuna hatoshi. Mkuu huyo wa mawaziri alidai ni kibarua kwa Sifuna kupata 25% ya kura kaunti 24. Sasa hiyo tu yenye Sifuna anafanya ni kama wanaona haitoshi.
Nani huyo anasema hivyo?
Mudavadi.
Mbona anaogopa? Yeye amepata ngapi? Je, amewahi kupata kura ngapi? Mbona ana criticize mwenzake?
Letu jicho na Taifa Leo.
Let's move on to the Daily Nation. A very busy front page today. Decision 2027, so they focused on the meeting between Ruto, the UDA and ODM team in Naivasha. Ruto leads UDA-ODM must win election talks. Ya wamesema must win. Lazima tu washinde. Waspende.
They're damn serious.
They're damn serious. But the story that appears even more prominent, and this has been covered previously, I think on the Standard or a different paper, is this person that keeps appearing at State House and other state houses or palaces across Africa. It's called Wicknell Chivayo. They're calling him the president's man. Wicknell Chivayo, the flashy Zimbabwean tycoon who loves to display his proximity to power, has unfettered access to President Ruto, going by photographs of his private meetings with the head of state. But even by his own standards, Chivayo is gushing over his latest encounter with the president as their dalliance continues to raise eyebrows. The story covered on pages 4 and 5. What happened is that this Chivayo attended the Koito engagement ceremony. Charlene Ruto in Kilgoris. Then the president personally drove him from the main event to where the chopper was. So akiwa kwa gari, president akimdrive, the president was attending to so many different visitors, but he found time to drive this Chivayo guy to where his chopper was. So the guy was just taking a selfie throughout. Oh, look, I'm here with the president, he's driving. Oh. Even him is starstruck, and people are wondering, okay, fine, you've taken so many photos with the president. Now, what is the big deal that he's driving you?
You know, maybe on Saturday, I've seen this argument that people are saying on Saturday he wasn't the president, he was a father-in-law.
And he was entertaining everyone.
Yes.
But this person has been at State House. In fact, what has happened on page 4 and 5 is they've shared so many different photos, at least 2 other photos of this gentleman at State House, Nairobi. So they say this Zimbabwean tycoon has unfettered access to the president. Billionaire flaunts presidential meetings and a private ride as questions grow over his business interests and controversial past. Watu wanauliza huyu kazi yake exactly ni gani? What does he do?
A billionaire.
Ile expansion ya airport. No, I'm just saying by media reports, ilisemekana one of his firms is linked to the new deal to expand the airport in Kenya. Whether it's true or not, led to jicho tu. The other story, how taxpayers lost 14 billion shillings in state Safaricom sale deal, on page 12, and head teachers in trouble for paying millions to lobby. So after launching their 1 year to elections coverage, the Daily Nation has focused on other stories. Dr. Mutiso Mada is one of them on page 2. I can see now after that story about President Ruto now, yes, Decision 2027. These are the headlines they're focusing on in as far as elections are concerned. Ruto rallies UDA-ODM to unite for poll victory. Leaders renew unity push, mobilize for election showdown. Those are the United Opposition or United Alternative Government. Meanwhile, Kalonzo Matiang'i expose hard road to one opposition candidate. Both back a joint candidate but differ on how the flag bearer should be picked as rival ambitions distrust persist. More headlines. Why gangs of the loose threaten credibility of next year's election. Highest bidder why 2027 poll could be battled for big money. And I heard somewhere that there's a lot of money. So Kenyans could make a lot of money. Kama wale wa Olkalao. walikuwa naingiza, nasikia Olkalao, people did not have loose change. It was only 1,000 shilling notes.
Yes.
So nasikia we might continue like that. All right. So those are some of the main stories. On the back page, Sembeo, Kenya's unlikely world 1,500 meters champion from Kajiado. They're talking about the 2026 World Athletics Under-20 Championship, where Kenya finished second overall with 11 medals, only second to the US, who played hosts. Ilikuwa Oregon, alipata 24 medals. But najua, the US participate in everything. They participate in swimming. Mambo mingi. Sisi najua tu ni kutoka mbio.
You participate in everything is actually a good thing.
It is. So we should be participating. But at least we still came second. Out of 42 countries that took part, yeah, we are way ahead. The next African country after Kenya is Ethiopia, which came sixth with 6 medals. We had 11. Congratulations to Team Kenya. That's the Daily Nation.
Tuangalie People Daily. The coalition that could beat Ruto. The story is on page 4, inside the unlikely alliance reshaping Kenya's 2027 presidential race. On the front page, yeah, it's a game of chess here, and we have everyone who would most likely contest for the presidential seat. I see Justin Muturi here. That's a first. So there's Justin Muturi, there's Kalonzo Musyoka, there's Fred Matiang'i, Edwin Sifuna, Eugene Wamalwa, Rigathi Gachagua, and PLP party leader Martha Karua. They say an unlikely political coalition bringing together key opposition figures is threatening President William Ruto's 2027 re-election bid. Despite disagreements that have rocked the opposition in recent past, analysts believe figures like DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper Patriotic Front boss Kalonzo Musyoka, and Jubilee presidential candidate Fred Matiang'i pose a major challenge to Ruto's ambition to secure another term in office. That story is on page 4. You can grab a copy of the People Daily today on Play Store and read more about it. The battle for Mount Kenya, the two political heavyweights fighting for control of Kenya's most coveted voting bloc. That is also on page 8. And the brokers behind 2027, the powerful deal makers shaping Kenya's next political battle. That story is on page 3. Let's see who they are. Parallel state, their names do not dominate campaign posters and their faces may not appear on party manifestos, but when politicians begin assembling coalition, these are often the people they call first, including incumbent and former politicians, businessmen. But I was thinking they're going to mention former CS Moses Kuria. He's at the center of this anyway, so I think he's one of them.
Moses Kuria has become an analyst. Crazy to analyze, oh, this is what I think. I don't know if he's running for any political office. He's just analyzing who will probably run, how it will play out. Yeah. I've been busy on TV stations. I've seen him.
That's the People Daily, people and politics.
All right, let's move on to the Star. Today being a Tuesday. The Star has nothing political on the front page. Yeah. They're talking about Hustler Fund hitting new 28 million borrower mark in 4 years. Of total loan amount, 98% is deposited into loanees' mobile wallets. Yeah, so Hustler Fund milestones, when it was registered, how many registered members it has, how many been loaned daily. This is the main story here on the front page. Other quick highlights: MPs reject MCA's battle for hefty pension scheme. That's on page 7. How motherhood changed their lives, not career dreams. It talks about mothers who opted to focus on raising their children. More than half of prisoners battling scabies infection. That's a story on page 9. So if at all you're planning to become a guest of the state, ujue kuna shida ya scabies. Wacha tu ile umezoea ati sijui utakuwa you'll belong to who. Scabies pia inakuja with that. Pale juu, hope for Kilifi cancer patients after county opens chemo center. And the only political headline here is talking about why presidential ticket is turning into a powder keg. But it's on page 6. So Hustler Fund hitting 28 million shillings borrower mark in 4 years. That's a record. And that's the main story on the Star this Tuesday. Remember, being Tuesday, it's not for sale. And you can grab yourself a copy of this paper for absolutely nothing. Fresh independent, different. It comes with a complimentary MyGov pull-out for government jobs and tenders. That's a star. All
right. Dangote's 1.55 trillion shillings debt for Lamu Oil Refinery, that's the Business Daily, that Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, will rely heavily on debt to finance the proposed multi-billion shillings oil refinery in Lamu, with construction of the project expected to begin by October this year. So Mr. Dangote disclosed that 70% of the estimated 2 trillion shillings projected will be financed through debt, replicating the highly leveraged funding model commonly used for large infrastructure projects. So the remaining 30% will be financed through equity. So what this means is that lenders will provide roughly 1.45 trillion, and shareholders, including Mr. Dangote and of course other investors, will inject about 621 billion shillings. That story is on page 2. It's very interesting. Inakuhusu pia wewe. Cyber cafes to give state users names and computer logs. That is a story on page 2, that according to new regulations published by the Communications Authority of Kenya, they demand that the internet shops issue receipts and keep the records for a minimum of 3 years, during which the regulator can request them for investigation. Kenya trails Rwanda, Burundi in open road transport on barriers. That's on the ticker. And 64 billion shillings edible palm oil investigation stalls. Right, so this is a parliamentary investigation into the possible loss of 64 billion shillings through misdeclared imports of edible palm oil. Business Daily.
All right, let's now cross our borders and take a look at what's big in Uganda. The Daily Monitor talks about how police tracked killers of footballer. Police officers from DCI and Directorate of Crime Intelligence and Flying Squad units tracked down the killers of Sports Club Villa captain David Owori to Kampala city slums and stolen phone markets across the city and neighboring Wakiso district. So it's a murder probe that they are following up. The other story, IGG pins parliament officials in 26 billion Ugandan money graft case. That's in Uganda. The New Vision, bado amelala. In Tanzania, The Citizen, ICD growth leaves Dar stuck in traffic. The rapid increase in the number of inland container depots in Dar es Salaam is fueling severe traffic congestion, with thousands of lorries overwhelming key corridors and forcing authorities to urgently rethink cargo storage, rail transport, and urban planning. You see now, unlike Nairobi, which is a capital city here, the main capital city in Dar es Salaam, away from the government seat in Dodoma, is Dar es Salaam, which is also the biggest port in that country. So you can imagine kama Mombasa ndio ingekuwa capital city. Na hiyo shida yote ya malori na nini, alafu hapo capital city. Shida tupu. Tundu Lissu, that trial about the Chadema leader. Lissu trial witness sparks legal tussle over tearing of battle papers claim. That's a big story there on the front page. The other paper is Mwananchi. Gazeti la Mwananchi, habari ambayo imepewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele, polisi wadaiwa kuiba bunduki. Zimo zilizosalimishwa na waliokuwa wakizimiliki kinyume cha sheria na waliozihifadhi kituoni. Askari wawili mbaroni, Kamanda Msime akiri dosari utumizaji wa silaha za kiraia na uchunguzi wa anza. Ni habari tu ambayo hata hapa Kenya tushazoea. Kwingineko, shahidi Lissu walivyovutana tena kotini. Na picha ya Tundu Lissu pale amebeba kipochi. Bagi ni ya nini? Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania. Ndio hayo ndio magazeti ya humu nchini na kwenye kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Turejelee nyumbani tuangazie karakacha. Leo tuna karakacha tatu. Tuanze na the one on the Star. The cartoon on the Star today talks about opposition within opposition. So a caricature of the president looking into the crowded opposition field. Watu ni wengi, hawaelewani, mara nani, mwingine amesema usikaribie huku, mwingine amesema wewe hujatosha mboga. Opposition within the opposition. I think it's something we all agree is happening.
The one on the Daily Nation speaks of the same. Really, we are united. This is a united opposition. That's what they're saying. There's a PLP, Wiper, Democratic Party, DCP, Jubilee, DAP Kenya, Linda Mwananchi, they're saying, really, we are united.
Yeah, are they really united? All right. The cartoon on the Standard rather, has a caricature of the president with his now famous wheelbarrow, ile Hustler Nation. Lakini sasa anafuta hiyo Hustler Nation, anaandika Vision 2060. Ile itakuwa launched kesho.
Yes.
The discussion, not launch.
Launch of the discussion.
Yeah, launch of the discussion. Discussion towards a launch. What exactly is happening tomorrow with the Vision 2060? The president needs to come out clearly and tell us this is exactly what's happening with Vision 2060. It's going to form a big discussion, and tonight, even here at TV47, we'll be focusing more on Vision 2060, what it means to us. So those are the big stories, cartoons, and big headlines that we'll be discussing with my panelists today. I'll be introducing them later. We are expecting Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River. Ikwa Wambote, I can already see when he has made his way into studio. He's a political analyst. And Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central. Those are the people we'll be expecting in studio today.
Later on, we'll be talking about fact and misinformation, what we should check for before sharing 1 year to 2027. The rise of deepfakes, misinformation, disinformation, AI itself. So we'll be unpacking all this at 8 a.m. And then we'll also be having another conversation on youth innovation for sustainable communities. Basically, just still on AI and how youth are using innovation to help their communities. That will be coming your way after State of the Nation.
All right. Before we take a break, let's take a quick look at the traffic situation in Nairobi. All right, usual trouble spots, pale Eastern Bypass, Utawala, Quickmart, Utawala Express, all the way to the Naivas Supermarket, Utawala. Hapo, there's a bit of traffic, but it's moving. Not so bad as you get closer to the airport and to the KQ headquarters roundabout. Outer Ring Road is good on both sides of the road. The entire stretch from Eastern Bypass to Thika Road is looking green on both sides. And this is at 27 minutes past the hour. Even Jogoo Road is looking good today. Traffic is moving, even at Makadara. Ile tunasemanga usual trouble spot. Karibu niseme hivyo lakini kwa hapana, hiyo itakuwa ni uongo. Hakuna traffic leo. But there's a bit of traffic at Shauri Moyo as you get closer to the City Stadium roundabout. Then as you get into town, through the Landis Road roundabout, a bit of traffic at Marikiti and at the railways roundabout inside the CBD. Take a look at Thika Road, also similar, all the way from the Ruiru interchange. It is green all the way past KU. A bit of traffic at Githurai, but it's moving, nothing stalling there. A bit of traffic as you get closer to Kasarani. Yes, but it's also moving. And then it moves all the way, and no trouble at all. Up until you get to the Utalii Drift, where it starts moving slowly as you get closer to the Pangani interchange, which is bumper to bumper currently, and it's affecting those coming from Kiambu Road as well, especially once you go past the DCI headquarters. It slows down as you dip into Muthaiga. Mombasa Road from the airport, if you've just landed, you'll have a smooth ride all the way into the CBD if that's where you're heading. And if you're coming from the other side of town, ABC Place into town through Museum Hill interchange is looking good. On the other side, Langata Road, nothing to report. Southern Bypass, it's green all the way. And Ngong Road, just a bit of traffic at the Prestige Plaza Cross Junction. Other than that, everything else is moving slowly, but moving nonetheless. And that's a traffic situation on the major roads in Nairobi. All right. Interact with us through our social media pages once again. It's TV47 Digital on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. We're definitely streaming live. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, hashtag Story Yetu. And I can already see one of our guests is here in studio, Ikwa Wambote, political analyst, very ready to tell us 1 year into the election year, mambo itakuwa namna gani. So do stand by for that, coming your way immediately after this break.
friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat. It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system eskizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta cabbage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikaichoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta cabbage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida.
Yes, good morning once again and welcome back. This is a TV47 breakfast on the 364th day. All right, 364 days to go before the next general election, exactly 1 year. We launched this countdown yesterday. You can see the clock down there and we'll continue with it up until election day. 364 days to go to the next election. It's a game of numbers according to the front page of the Standard, as even that paper launches its own road to the general election. With us this morning is Ikua Wambote, political analyst. Karibu sana bwana Ikua.
Thank you so much for it.
And the question we were asking yesterday as we launched this was just how prepared do you think we are? Having observed previous elections since the advent of the new constitution, there have been so many different things. In as far as preparedness, for a proper electoral cycle the final year, in comparison to the other elections we've seen? How do you feel we are prepared this time?
Well, I think the IEBC has been giving us quite good update as far as their preparedness is concerned. But that is actually not the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the actual independence of the Election and Boundaries Commission. However, as far as timing is concerned, I think the IEBC got to have his house in order quite on good time. So I hope they will be able to put into place everything that they need to prepare. I saw they had already, published, the key dates in terms of milestones that need to be, to be achieved. One of them, included a near before elections, they needed to, give the guidelines as far as the electoral, campaign funding and things like that is concerned, because there are rules and regulations behind the funding and expenditure of the, the candidates thereof. So I'm seeing them, clearly coming out with their dates as they're supposed to be done. But you see, everybody would ask, how ready are they in terms of providing and giving us a free, credible, and verifiable, elections. Yes. Owing to the fact that if you have to put them on scale, you have to, refer to the number of by-elections that they have conducted there before, and how they have reacted to the complaints, how they have reacted to issues that have happened. Nevertheless, I think I can give them a good mark in terms of, being ready, but they need to call themselves into order as far as, being very fair, as far as how they balance off between the government and the opposition thereof.
What about the other players? I can see jostling, a lot of preparations, a lot of discussions here. You look at two of the cartoons today, talk about the unity or lack thereof of togetherness in the united opposition or united alternative government. Yeah. And as far as preparedness by the political players, do you think we're doing better than any other time? The last electoral cycle, I think by this time we knew which main candidates were going to be at the elections. This time round? Well, this time around, things are different. Fred, things have been changing. We do not have the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in the ballot anymore. And I think it was pretty obvious that the then deputy president wanted to vie as president and the current president. But, we have a target that is fixed as far as the D-Day is concerned. This is not a moving target. So the United Alternative Government have been working with a fixed target in terms of timelines and dates. And I know there is this very hurry from the government side in terms of you need to name your candidates as that. Why? Why are they so in a hurry to know whom they are competing against? That is their own way of knowing who their opponent is. But I think on the other side, there is a lot of housekeeping that needs to be done in terms of all the key principles need to obviously come into the table ready with what it is they're bringing onto the table. Because as you can see from the standard, the game of numbers, the numbers in this country are coming from the regions, Freddie. Where are they coming from? If you claiming that you want to go into the table of to negotiate your position and to negotiate what it is that you're coming with, it has to be reflected by your support from your base. And I think that is what now everybody's been called in to try and make sure they have put together, they've consolidated their base, so that, because sooner or later, everybody has to go to the table and discuss on who is doing what and how are we aligning. So the hurry that is there is perceived. Because as I said, the target is there. The date is known. We have 364 days now to go. And I think we need to allow enough time, because these are also men coming from different certain backgrounds and and strengths and weaknesses and things like that, and they need to be allowed enough time to be able to agree. Yes. Still on the same line of questioning, there's the psyche of the nation. 1 year to the elections, is a discussion or the narrative that leads the people to an election clear? What are people talking about? Is it just chance of 1 term, 2 term, or do you feel that probably we've gotten to a point where Kenyans are clear why they are going to the ballot and what would influence their decision come the 10th of August, 2027? Well, yeah, Kenyans are very ready. Kenyans are very ready, and they are very clear on what they want. They have put it out there categorically that one of the things that they want to change this government. That one is not debatable. I think there will be people who would say otherwise, but it is out there for you to be able to read the mood of the people. And I think, again, it's only that it's a matter of time, because
over the last 4 years, people have agitated to have a government that aligns itself or behaves in a particular manner. So it's not that the people don't know what they want. So if you look at now where we are headed, even the new faces that are coming up, the candidates that are coming up, they are already aligning themselves with the people's expectations. Because of course in governance, you do not govern people the way you want. You govern people in accordance to the expectations of the people who elected you. Because there's always that tag of what you promised them versus what you're able to deliver. So I believe that Kenyans are ready. They are ready for the next election. And they know what they want to do with this particular election.
All right. Allow me to welcome Dr. Danson Mungatana to the panel. Senator Danson Mungatana is a senator Tana River County. Karibu sana.
Asante.
If you look at the papers, all media houses have finally launched their countdown, fresh countdown. We launched ours yesterday. And you can see at the bottom of our screen, we are now at 364 days to go to the next election. Just 1 day less from the 1 year mark. And question is, and this is what I posed to Bwanaikua Mbote as well, is our level of preparedness. Of course, there's the IEBC, there's politicians and political parties, and the Kenyan as well. Are we ready? Do you feel that as a nation, in comparison to other elections this time round, 1 year to elections, we are clear and we are ready to go to elections?
Well, I can't speak for IEBC, but I have seen they are doing a lot of talking to the people. So that maybe somebody else they can probably explain themselves better. But about Kenyans, and then I'll tell you about political parties. About Kenyans, I think by and large, most Kenyans are aware that the elections are coming in a year. So, and most political leaders or those who have been aspiring, they have been doing something around their constituencies, around their counties, and those who want presidential vote, they have been doing something around the nation. So Kenyans are prepared in the sense that sensitization has been ongoing. About political parties, I think
Even if we go to political parties, back to the Kenyans, because a lot of the discussion and discourse so far has been about the presidential level elections, chance of 1 term, 2 term. But the elections, we understand, are beyond that. There's governors especially, which is important, and the members of the National Assembly and senators. When you say that Kenyans are ready, do you feel that they are also considering that other level of electoral positions away from just the president?
Okay, the readiness I'm saying, maybe let me go deeper into that. The readiness I'm saying is just general awareness that we are going to have an election in the second Tuesday of August in 2027. But in terms of thinking deeply about it, and for me, I don't mind so much about the MPs. I don't mind so much about the members of the Senate or even the County Assembly. I think for Kenyans, and this is an opportunity maybe I'd like to share with them my thoughts, and this is what I've been telling people in Tana River County. The governors and the president, these executive arms of government, they take the largest share of our resources. And for me, I would pray, and I've been telling our people again and again that we must prepare to choose the correct governor. For Tana River County, I've said the correct governor must be the person who is coming to tell us, it is not I'm winning. It's not I'm winning because I'm combining this tribe, that tribe, and the other. So my formation is going to win. So come with me, and then we will discuss what we will do after we win the election. I'm saying that's the wrong person. I'm saying in Tana River County, the governor I want must be a person who has first of all spoken to me as a senator. Because the likelihood is that they'll probably elect me, God willing. So they have to speak to me, not because I'm Mungatana, but because the senator has interacted for the last 5 years with the financial status of our county. I know the debt exposure of our county. I know the pending bills. I know the money that has been allocated that has not been used properly for education, you know. I know the funds that were put for water, it hasn't worked. What hasn't worked for health, you know, the budgets. And so it is good for you to have a sit down with the sitting senator and say, what do you think? You know, we should.
So we still have some distance to go in as far as discussing devolution. So
for me,
as an issue in this election.
No, for me, I think at the county level, we need to get good governors. And good governors, for me, are governors who are talking about how shall I tackle the issues of pending bills? How shall I tackle the issues of water woes? How shall I manage the budget in as far as education, the bursaries, you know? I tell them, in some counties, I see people are being given food for people to go to school. It costs them this much in terms of budget. In some counties, I see the governors are doing some of the roads. It costs this much in their budget. What about our people? Okay. So for me, I think in terms of preparedness, I'm now speaking for my county in Tana River, I have made it a point that we must put the discussions of the plans on the governors, what they are going to do for us. That should be the determining factor. I have a bias, by the way, of the governor I want, because I want to support the governor who will be running on UDA. I have a bias. But I keep saying, despite my own thinking, I want people to put on the table, what will I do with health?
All right.
What will I do with education? What will I do with the road network in Tana River County? So, I have said, Fred, that the governors and the presidency are very important because they consume a very big part of our budget. So equally, why I really like the current president we have and why I'm going to vote for him is because, and I'm talking about even what we discussed yesterday.
And we'll come to that because it's a big discussion.
Let me just make a quick point. That just like the way I'm saying my governors, the candidate for governors in Tana River County should focus on what we are going to do with the budgets that I'm fighting for as a senator and bringing to the county, I'm also supporting this president because he has a rough idea or even very specific about what he wants to do. Okay. And already he has listed what he has done. So for me, I think that should be the debate. Yes. As far as governors are concerned and as far as the presidential candidates are concerned.
I'm just trying to gauge the level of preparedness by all the players, including the voters, IEBC, and even the political parties. Allow me to welcome Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, to the panel. Karibu sana, Bwana Mutambu.
Asante. 1
year to elections. If you look at the bottom of our screen there, we already have a clock. 364 days to go. Yes, it's less than a year now officially. And we're wondering, okay, fine, in comparison to other elections that we've seen, even since the advent of the new constitution, how prepared are we? The psyche of the Kenyan. We've seen an obsession with the presidency, something that the constitution was supposed to remedy. Do you feel that we are prepared enough to have a better conversation beyond the presidency in as far as electing even other positions?
Itemuli, Kenyans are prepared. So is the institutions. And so is the politicians. Because there are three people involved in these three parts. There's the institution, and not only one institution. It's a bunch of institutions, including the IEBC itself, security, name it. Politicians who play part in the election. And now the Kenyans. I can tell you the mood on the crowd is that people are waiting to cast their vote. And they are shocked because some of them, they have made up their decision on who to vote, either the president, governor, MCA, whoever. Despite the fact that there are some people who have not even shown interest whether they will vie or not. We are expecting more. That does not
what do you base your assertion that they've made a decision on which governor to vote? Many people, as you say, are yet to declare their interest in some of these seats. My question is, do you feel the voter is giving enough attention to what kind of governor they want?
On my opinion, if there is any politician who is waiting to come on board to announce, it's Johnny come too late. As far as I know, politics.
There's some public officers who may not be able to do that.
I can tell you those public officers are on the field. Anybody interested in any seat, they are in the field today as I speak to you. And my good friend Mugatana will tell you, because he's a politician and he meets with them on the ground. Anybody who wants to be something elected is on the ground. So when we talk about preparation by the politicians, I can tell you we are ready. For voters, we are interacting with them on a daily basis. They are ready. IBC, I've never heard them complain that we are minus this budget, minus that. So that tells you they are ready. I've never heard IG telling Kenyans we have challenge in security when it comes to election. So let us all know that this country is ready for the next general election.
What about the level of discourse that we're having? Are Kenyans really ready for a conversation beyond 1 term, 2 term? Or that is the only chant we know? Are we discussing any other thing? Is it the economy, health, those issues? Are Kenyans talking about that? Because that's the reason that would make them turn and make a decision come August 10th, 2027.
Each and every politician, including the president, they have their manifesto. And that is what you sell to Kenyans. And that is where the debate comes from. That is what we tell people. I will do this, I'll be able to do this, this is my vision, this is what I want to do when you elect me. So each and every candidate has their own manifesto. So that discussion is already there. So the issue of 2 term or 1 term is neither there. That is a political slogan which people use. So it's not a tool to gauge the preparedness of the country.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, there must be some chance. People, even me, they call me some names, and I take it because it is politics. So that is not an issue at all. The fact remains that, and I repeat, that we are ready. The discussion on what will happen, and I've heard it, Idimoli. I've heard people say, this president is very bad, he has killed the economy, when I come in, I will change. And I want to ask you, Idimoli, if tomorrow you are elected the president of this country, you now, you know you will not come and tell us 1 term. You will not come and tell us nothing works. It must work. And now you are elected, and today is 25th. There is salary to be paid. There is the national debt to be paid. We have collected less. What will you do?
That's the level of preparedness I'm asking about. Because you look at two of the cartoons today show a discord within the United Alternative Government, Bwana Mutambo. And the question is, do you believe that they are prepared for discussions over the campaign period?
For campaign, they may be prepared because they will be telling Kenyans what they want to hear. But what I don't know is whether they are prepared to face the challenge once they occupy the office. And I don't see who is really ready. I've heard stories, somebody saying, when I get in the office, I'll sell the affordable housing. Okay, I'll give you the credit, you will sell 1 year. What will you sell next year, next financial year? So there is a lot, Idimuli, not just the narrative people driving around and talking, you know, I'm the best, I'll change the economy, the president has killed, the fuel is high. We don't have anywhere with our oil well. And I wonder, when somebody says, I will come and change the price of oil, where they will get the oil from.
Right.
Some things are determined by international economy. It's not the president who is seated at the State House. There are some other factors which affect our lives.
Right. Ekwambote, I can see you want to...
Yeah, you know why I'm raising my hand? It's because I completely disagree with my good friend Joe here. You know, running a country, I believe is not, you know, doesn't call for a stroke of genius to understand that the first thing that you need to implement in a government is efficiency and prudence. First and foremost, stop the leakage. Because what is ailing this country is that we are losing so much money through corruption, for example. that we end up now finding ourselves thinking like Joe, that what will you do? You know, when you say that you have salaries to pay tomorrow, when you have expenditures to do tomorrow as a government, yes, but you have taxes that you are collecting tomorrow. You have taxes that you are collecting today. So basically, you first need to come and balance the two things. What I agree with him on only one aspect, that we have sunk ourselves such deep into the hole that it is almost impossible for anybody who wants to become president to come and think that they can do development without first getting the country back into the track. So what is happening right now is that the country is losing so much. To an extent now, look at what we've gotten our country into. We've gotten our country into correction of 100 shillings vis-a-vis paying out almost 90 shillings into the debts and things like that, servicing of debts. Others now we are saying we are servicing them, but we're only transferring them into the future, where maybe some of the current regime knows they will probably not be there. It is corrective, what I would call continuous mismanagement of this economy that is making it now difficult for anybody who has tried to come and take it, that what are you going to do? But you see, Mwai Kibaki inherited also a very bad economy when he came in. But when he came in quietly and first asked themselves very difficult questions on what to do to be able to stop the bleeding. Because if you have a patient who is bleeding, the first thing you need to do is to control the bleeding. So we know that whoever will come in might not get so much money to go into development. But Kenyans need to understand why he does not need to rush up to run after development. It's because he needs to first put our house in order. But I needed to just put one point in regards to the preparedness, and I needed to point out that in the IEBC, I think they still have a bit of time to try and put the house into order. Because I've looked at the issue of budget. It has not been sorted out. And I think Senator Mugadana will tell us when they intend to bridge the deficit on budget allocation, that they are talking about 31 billion or something like that. And I've also seen that their CEO is on acting capacity. I've seen that them announcing that they have several directorship positions that are vacant, which means that in terms of manpower, they still require more into their side in terms of being able to deliver the general election as expected. So I believe also they are also working on, into filling some of these very key positions that I can see, that especially on the directorship, that they don't have.
All right. Before I allow you, Dr. Mugatana, to chime into that, because we'll now need to talk about the electoral reforms that are happening even in Parliament, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll focus more on electoral reforms and what needs to be done by IEBC and the legislative process that will lead us to the next election.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani, when?
Si kesho kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni live.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? High five? Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero make a beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the faster. Welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learn the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
I just want to be in the zone.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
I just want to be in the zone.
Stay fresh, stay safe,
Stay linked up.
The countdown to the 2027 general election has begun, with roughly 52 weeks to the polls. Civil society organizations, however, say the countdown is not only about preparing voters for election day, but fixing the rules that will govern the contest.
We insist that the perennial underlying constitutional questions around elections must be progressively settled.
Speaking on Monday, the Uchaguzi Platform, a coalition of civil society organizations working on electoral governance, unveiled a 10-point minimum reform agenda, calling for action before the country enters the election season.
We urge the National Police Service, the IEBC, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, and county security committees to put in place integrated interagency protocols and early warning systems with explicit measures against election-related sexual and gender-based violence from now through polling.
The call comes days after a Malindi High Court ruling that raised questions over the constitutional timing of the presidential election. The coalition says the ruling has exposed conflicting electoral timelines and wants Parliament, the IEBC, and the judiciary to harmonize the timelines for nominations, dispute resolution, and results management by the end of 2026.
We also urge Parliament, because we think rather than waiting until next year once the elections is over, we feel that Parliament needs to enact pending amendments to the electoral laws by the end of the fourth quarter to harmonize these timelines and close the gap this ruling has exposed.
The groups are also demanding an independent audit, continuous cleaning and biometric verification of the voters' register, followed by public inspection before it is gazetted. But with the 2027 election now firmly on the horizon, the question is whether these reforms will be implemented before the political contest begins, or whether some of these same electoral questions will once again be left until the campaign is already underway. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Yes. There are quite a number of things that are yet to be addressed. Some of them, one of them is that pronouncement by the courts in Malindi. And it raises a very fundamental question because according to that court, today should have been election day. And it means that one way or another, we may have defied an express provision of the Constitution. It is not the first time we've done this. We defied the express provision of Article 89 on delimitation of boundaries and review of boundaries as well. These are things that at some point will need to be ironed out because we cannot continue ignoring them. The two-thirds gender rule as well. I know that there is proposed amendments to the electoral laws before Senate, and Bwana Mungatana will tell us more about that. Do you feel we are prepared or we are ready enough this time round to bite the bullet? Remember, this is the third electoral cycle. We've not been able to sort out two-thirds gender rule. We've not been able to sort out boundaries review. Now we are not sure if we are on the right track in as far as election date is concerned.
Okay, now before I go into the electoral preparedness, maybe I'll just make one point about the issues we are discussing before the break. I just wanted to say very quickly that I'm going to appeal to Kenyans, particularly on the point of governors and on the point of the president. I'm not, like I've said, too keen on the other positions as I am on this one. All the others are important, but these two positions are very, very important because they absorb the majority of our resources. We need to hear from the candidate you are choosing, what is he going to do in the first 100 days? You know, I'm giving you office, you are being sworn in today. What are you going to do as governor of Tana River in the first 100 days? Which will mean you need to have studied the financials. You need to know exactly what I'm going to do in the first 100 days so that you have a countdown from day 1 to the 5 years. Same thing I would say. We need to hear presidential candidates talk about their first 100 days. And Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, on the date of his inauguration, on his second term, many people remember after he was sworn in, he walked into office and kept on signing executive orders. There were exactly 24 executive orders on day 1. William Ruto, on his election, after his inauguration, what did he say? The first thing I'm going to do is to return port operations back to Mombasa. And he went and signed that executive order. That's the kind of president I want to see in the next election. That's the kind of governor I want to see in the next election. Please, I'm talking to Kenyans that please, let's not just vote emotions. We are giving these people so much resources that if you are just voting for the sake of voting, because I've been told my tribe is voting here, my clan is voting here, or my party is voting here, and you know that the candidate is a useless guy, I think it is time that this election, we move to a higher level. Now, having said that, let's go to the electoral reforms. After 2022, there were certain things that kept on hanging. The IEBC, you remember, was not functional. Mm-hmm. You know, commissioners had deferred, others had resigned, and there was a commission that was not quite there. When the president proposed a selection panel, politics came into play. And that selection panel could not function because when they do this, they are challenged, they are not in court and what. Finally, a law had to be done, basically to accommodate everybody, so that everyone has a say in terms of the selection panel. So that was the first law in terms of electoral reforms in this cycle after 2022 that was done. IEBC was reformed. When that bill came to Senate, we debated it extensively and we agreed on a number of issues. The quorum, for example, quorum, how the commission should be managed, the efficiency, the kind of people who should be selected, the whole process of selection and determining the kind of commissioners who will be there. So in terms of electoral reforms, I think the IEBC where it is today is better than where it was before 2022. And this is because there were lots of discussions around what needed to be done. So that is one thing we can give the current Senate and the current National Assembly marks for. And then we came to that issue of election, of reviewing electoral units. You know, the Constitution requires that after 10 years there must be some review. But then the time wasn't there. Again, the National Assembly and the Senate they brought up something that allows now for these elections to go on, even without that, having to go through, because boundary delimitation of, let's say, Starehe constituency, it's going to be a very involving process, and then yet they have to prepare for the general election, and so on in other parts of the country. So that was delayed to be carried forward later on. So again, that reform, I think, is a good innovation that we can give credit to these assemblies, the National Assembly and the Senate. And then there was this other reform that went on to political parties, what candidates need to bring and what. And then there are bills that are still in process, you know, that are supposed to affect the, and I see even in your clip, one of the people there was talking about the Senate and the National Assembly should finish all the pending things to do with elections before the general election. We have 1 year. Hopefully, the politics won't interfere, and maybe some of those processes will be finished, because it's a process to pass a bill. And even when they finish at the National Assembly, they have to come to the Senate. And even when you finish here, they have to go there, unless there are no difficulties. If we don't agree with what they have passed, or they don't agree with what we have passed, we have to form a mediation committee. After that mediation committee comes with an agreed test of the bills, then we have to pass it again, this side, and it goes to the president for signing. So you'll see it's a process. I hope all those processes will be finished for the pending bills. But what I know is that in terms of funding, they have been given, they may be asking for more, but they have been given, by and large, the IEBC has been well funded this time round. They have been able to recruit, they've been able to pay, negotiate and pay some of the bills, especially those lawyers and other suppliers of the last election. So by and large, what Ethicon has is a stable IEBC, which I believe will deliver on the results.
What about the pronouncement by the court on the election date? Do you think that this could actually change something? That if at all it is actually found to be sound,
yes,
that probably even the next cycle,
yes,
probably the term could change?
Okay, Justice Mugure Thande gave very good reasoning for her to arrive at that decision. But then at the same time realized the impact of that decision would be very disruptive to the arrangements for the elections, knowing that everybody knows the election will be in 2027, suspended that decision. So what is she saying? She's saying that I think I'm right. I think I'm right, given all the submissions that were done by those who made the case and those who opposed the case. I think the conclusion is that the election should be held this Tuesday, Tuesday of this week.
Today.
But I think it is not practical, and many times decisions of because they live in this society, sometimes decisions can be so disruptive that you think, I need to suspend this decision. But she's inviting everybody to think again, which means they will go on appeal, okay? And her decision, the Court of Appeal will have a look at those arguments afresh. We have known decisions of the High Court that have been set aside by the Court of Appeal. We have known decisions of the High Court that have been confirmed by the Court of Appeal. But also we have known decisions of the Court of Appeal that have been confirmed or set aside by the Supreme Court. And I believe this one will go all the way to the Supreme Court because it's a public interest matter. So from where I sit, I think it's not a final thing, but it's an invitation for us to think, are we having a 4-year term or are we having a 5-year term? Now, from my thinking, my own observation, I think the people of Kenya have counted August 2022. So August 2023, August 2024 will be 2 years, August 2025 will be 3 years, August 2026 will be 4 years, August 2027 would be 5 years. Now, to tell a Kenyan, no, because of some constitutional blah, 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 it is August 2026, you are confusing that Kenya. And you see, the constitution is owned by the people. If we understand that the president has powers to declare war, and then today you come and tell us, no, 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 it's actually the parliament that has powers to declare war, or it is the judges of the High Court who can declare war. You know, Kenyans will tell you what you are saying does not make sense. So what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, it is the people who own the constitution, and the way they understand it should also be given weight. And it is, I think, that pressure that made Justice Thande to also suspend that decision.
But the clarity is definitely required, Bwana Mutambu.
Correct.
We cannot just live with a constitution that says one thing, but because Kenyans feel it should be the other. After all, we gave ourselves this constitution. We have to live by it. If we made a mistake, then we correct it ourselves. Something needs to be done. We are approaching the 4th election since the promulgation of the Constitution. Yet we appear very reluctant, very slow to address some of these gaps in our laws. Don't you think that probably at some point we might find ourselves in trouble?
Edemoli, any country is governed by rule of law. And the perimeter of rule of law is constitution. Everything is ring-fenced around the constitution. We did not get this constitution yesterday. And Mugatana will tell you, ignorance is not a defense. We failed to read and understand the constitution as it is. The unfortunate thing in Kenya is that the people tend to interpret the constitution the way they want it to sound. Right? You eat the bread, the buttered side, and the other side, you don't want to eat. I was on this table arguing with you about the same issue on when the election should be held in Kenya. And I have no doubt in my mind, the constitution is very explicit. So the judge was right, because she read the constitution and she made a determination based on the constitution. What we think we should do, that is something else. And it does not give you right to do it unless you amend the same constitution. If there is any section in the constitution, any conflicting section in the constitution, it is upon the Kenyans to amend it. And I can tell you clearly that the constitution speaks and says as the judge ruled. There's no debate around that side, unless somebody just want to debate their own thing. But if we are guided by the constitution and we respect it, it is supposed to be the way the judge ruled. However, maybe because of interest of public, and going by what you are saying, that we know, or how my friend is counting, that we know it is from this date to this date, from that date to this. But when you read the constitution and it tells you that election must be held within this particular time, then it lands yesterday, today. We should be having election, if you read it and interpret it well. So that is an aspect I don't know whether we did by omission or commission, but we omitted that part and understanding it. So legally, as Kenyans, as a country, we are at wrong in many ways, abiding to the constitution, because we cannot say that there was no time to do boundary review. The constitution dictates that after 10 years you do it, and we got that constitution in 2010. Up to today is around 16 years. So we all knew that there must be boundary review within 10 years, then we plan ourselves to that. But we never planned. What we did not do, we did not plan to have a boundary review in our country. We let it go. And then when time now overtook us, then we started saying, you know, there's no time, we can't do this because the constitution says it must be done within. So those are the things which we have failed as a country to adhere to, as far as constitution is concerned. We should have done it because the constitution demands it so. I don't know why we are crying every day about the two-third gender rule, and we are saying it's more important, and we have ignored the constitution when it comes to two-third gender rule. We even have a ruling, and I think there was a time when the parliament was dissolved because of that. And I remember speaking about it one day, and I said, having elective position, you cannot attain two-third rule unless you go on appointing people, not elective. Unless we remove that part, elective position. Because if it is elective, the same constitution will tell you anybody, any person is free to vie. So who will you tell don't vie in the Mugatana's constituency? And who you must vie, you must not vie? So long as it talks about elective position, elective, if the word is elective position, you cannot attain it. There's no way you can balance that unless it talks about appointive positions.
Right.
So that is some of the issues which we need to clean in our own constitution so that we don't create confusion. Confusion is there because constitution is very clear on what needs to be done. But people are expecting others.
We have a precedent set in this country where an election has been nullified. Some of these grounds could be failure to abide by the constitution. If we continue ignoring these things expressly provided for, including the provision that you could amend the constitution through a referendum if you wish so. If we continue leaving some of this that we find inconvenient and continue claiming that due to public interest we can ignore one provision or the other, for how long can we do that?
Well, you see, Fred, and I think I've been listening to what Joe is talking about. We need to be a bit careful on interpreting the constitution based on the convenience of those who are in power. The ingenious of our constitution was that it could be amended. And if we feel that something has a potential of landing the country into a constitutional crisis, we need to amend it. But who is supposed to amend the constitution? Which body is, of course, mandated by a constitution to actually, spearhead the amendment of the constitution? So I believe that we've had people who have been mandated by Kenyans to be in charge of their country's affair, which includes proposals thereof of amendment of constitutional clauses that are actually throwing country into a constitutional crisis. But they are not doing it. When we say that the problem of our country is not only brick and mortar in terms of development, you need to talk to us about the fabrics of our country in terms of where do we need to rectify, which includes the amendment of constitutions in terms of wording. Because as you would hear Mitambo tell you, some of these things are wording that we cannot even interpret. It is not that we cannot interpret. And in fact, I'm asking, when we keep on kicking something forward in terms of responsibilities, when is this responsibility going to be done and by who? Some of the changes that we are asking for and agitating for as a country is because of such kind of things. Because you find something as sensitive as boundaries delimitation that is actually affecting 26 constituencies within our country has not been done. Why? We did not have a properly constituted independent and electoral boundaries commission. Whose responsibility was it? The political class. So when we say that some of these responsibilities were supposed to be done by Parliament and they did not do it on time for whatever reason, we're saying that the Parliament has failed. When we say that the IEBC is supposed to actually look at all these clauses that are actually bringing in confusion and probably put it on a referendum to be conducted on the same day with the election, so that we may not even claim that we need any other budget. It's a matter of men and women thinking about our country from a positive side and looking at it, holistically, but on a long-term basis. So what do we foresee? For example, on this matters of delimitation, I come from a constituency that was affected. But if you remember, it was supposed to be delimited or reviewed based on population of 2019 census. Right? So now my constituents are asking very difficult questions. That now that this was charged in court in terms of, there were some, counties that charged that particular population census, are we going to use the same population that was charged? And because the court had ordered, a repeat of census in some of those constituencies, so we are asking, are you using the census of when you have repeated it in terms of 2025, 2026, 2024, where they had been told to do it, or are you going to use the 2019? Because in terms of population growth, even my constituency in Taragua had already grown in terms of population. So when you are calculating the base of the population that determines whether you are below or above the base, then the constituency has already qualified not to be delimited. So there was a lot of confusion in terms of the orders for sometimes that comes out of court versus the reality on the other side when an an independent body need to be implemented. But I need to summarize it by saying, I don't think there has been goodwill in most of these constitutional offices holders in terms of working and helping us to get out of these kind of discussions. I don't think there has been goodwill. Because if there had been goodwill, for example, why would someone, the whole of IBC as constituted, even now, current and before, did they not have the capacity? And I think Senator Mugatana would tell us, you want to tell me they didn't have the capacity to interpret what it is that the Constitution says about when the election should be held, and even calculate. There have been billions of shillings that have been allocated in that commission. So why is it that they were not the one coming out with this and telling us we have a problem here and we are seeking this particular legal process to be able to address this particular matter? They have not come out with it. It took the effort of one Kenyan, Wakili Willis. So he's the one who has been pushing this. And all along, Kenyans were not believing him until the judge pronounced himself in the court. But again, the judge was right to say that as much as this is the correct position of the Constitution, we cannot be able to implement it today because of the obvious reasons. That makes a lot of sense. However, remember the judge have said that as much as I know this particular judgment has been charged in the higher court, the judge have said categorically that this must be implemented in the next. So in 2020, after 2027, we are not allowed to conduct our election. We should not assume, as it stands in the Constitution.
So those elected next year might have
those elected next year
terms.
must know that they have been elected for 4-year term, not 5.
And that's a conversation many people are not having.
Yeah. But that's the reality now. Because apparently this judgment, if this judgment stands or takes precedent in the preceding courts, those elected next year in 2027, there will be no election in 2032. The elections should be in 2031.
Yes. You wanted to add something on that?
I think Mheshimiwa Joe and myself have sat in these houses, and I've sat in both. Mheshimiwa Joe was in the other one. I was in that Constitutional Review Commission, parliamentary committee that was in the Constitutional Review that went to Naivasha many years ago to negotiate how the Constitution should look like. And one of the things that we did, we were on the side of President Kibaki. We did strike a deal, but we wanted to add many things. I remember personally, I'm the one who wrote that section about parliamentary office holders, because it wasn't there in the original text. The speaker, the majority leader, who should be named. I know that, and you can check. It wasn't there because people were just concentrating on should we go parliamentary or presidential system. So anyway, we on the side of the then administration of President Kibaki, we really pushed for this constitution to come out the way it was, because remember the president had given a promise that in 100 days, that old constitution, we are going to change it. But you remember then we went into referendum and we lost the banana and the orange a referendum. Then we had another referendum, which now we were able to win. What the president was saying was that when you look at this constitution, there are some deficits in it. And in fact, when we were campaigning for it, we say 80% is fine, 20% needs to be looked at. Because even we were, seeing now after you start looking at it deeply that there are issues that need a bit of ukarabati. So the understanding was that after 10 years, we will have a constitutional review. But let me tell you, to do even a dot of the constitution, even a comma, to remove it, the processes that involved are very heavy in terms of political content and the political weight. It's a heavy lifting thing. And the one president who has been able to do some heavy lifting, for example, in housing, for example, it's been Ruto. But even us who are with him, we are not so sure that we want to heavy lift for constitutional review right
So everyone will ignore it?
Not ignore, it's because of the
whose
process.
responsibility is it?
It's the process. You know, let me tell you, Fred, I know for a fact, for example, that we at the Senate would want more powers in terms of vetting of constitutional office holders. For example, that's just a small example. And then there's also a constitutional bill that was actually filed saying that governors who have served should stay out. They should not come to the Senate for at least 10 years to allow, if there were queries, financial audit issues in their counties, they should allow that period to pass so that all that is done, those who are to be held responsible are held responsible before they are cleared to run for Senate. But you see, you have to go and change that right for everyone to stand. How do you do that, you know, without changing the constitution? So even to move one single thing, we have done it. The women in Parliament, both in the National Assembly and the Senate, have come together. They have filed a constitutional bill to try and push for amendments to allow the 2/3 to be a reality. You remember there was also the Maraga letter, the opinion, the advisory opinion, that there must be 2/3. But again, as Mheshimiwa Mtambo has said, how do you then remove that right of somebody like, you may say, a good example, Senator Mngatana, is interested in defending a seat in Tana River County. How do you say, for us to balance so that we have 2/3 majority, you know, of either gender, let us allocate this for women, this for men, you know, except for the fact that we can nominate, except for the fact that we have the women rep positions. Okay. It has been very difficult. So for me, let me say this now. This current president has proposed a national conversation on 2060, Vision 2060. How do I want my country to look like? And part of the questions I know, like I asked, and I really thank the president because he listens. In that sitting there, I asked, what is an emotional formula, you know, the formula that we can use to allocate development, so that counties like Tana River, we don't have this story of, oh, Wajir, Mandera, Isiolo are having a tarmac road for the first time. We shouldn't have that. We shouldn't have this mess of roads that are going to Busia, having this traffic jam all the time when it is Christmas, when it is Pasaka. How do we you know, have a formula? And you know what the president was saying, and many other people, was that some of these discussions may have to go to the Vision 2060. Because if you look at it, we have been able to have a formula for CDF. We've been able to create a formula for allocation of funds in the Senate, in the counties versus the national. But then, how many roads do I determine to go to your place? Okay, electricity connection. How do we do it? So I think my own opinion is that in these discussions, we need to say something about constitutional amendments towards development. So that whether I'm in opposition, whether I'm in government...
That could be the route towards a referendum. Probably.
It could be. Maybe we may not finish this year, but I'm thinking, I'm just thinking, and I'm not saying this is what the government is planning. But I'm thinking this national conversation should have something to do with protecting development.
Okay, because of time, I'd want us to at least tackle one political discussion. And the biggest one on the front pages today is what happened in Naivasha between UDA and ODM. Gazeti la Taifa lasema lazima tushinde. On the Daily Nation, Ruto leads UDA-ODM must win election talks. It is part of that which we've covered here at TV47. Let's have that story about what happened in Naivasha as we form the basis of this discussion.
It started as a meeting expected to deliver positive signals for the Kenya Kwanza ODM partnership, with leaders under the broad-based government converging in Naivasha to review the government's progress and future political cooperation. But once the Fourth Estate left the room to pave way for closed-door deliberations, the mood reportedly changed. Kisii Governor Simba Arati said to have proposed the ODM be considered for the deputy president position in 2027, a demand that did not sit well with a section of UDA members, especially from the Mount Kenya region, who reportedly walked out.
Ingawa kuna kashida kidogo kwa sababu kila grupu inataka iwe makamu wa rais. Naomba watu wa Mount Kenya tuungane pamoja.
It was not tenable and he was not able to work with the person he chose. He chose another person. You know, it is not us who chose. So even in this scenario, it is him because he is a presidential candidate. I'm not running as a president.
With barely a year to the next general election, sources say some UDA allies are unlikely to embrace the proposal, particularly as sections of the Mount Kenya legislators remain confident that President William Ruto will retain Deputy President Kithure Kindiki.
All that they didn't get anything, but in this arrangement, they have ministers, they have PSs, they have positions in Parliament, and they have said now moving forward to form the government in.
The two sides have now proposed a 5-member committee drawn from Kenya Kwanza and ODM to oversee their demands, including implementation of the 10-point agenda signed 2 years ago. ODM proposed Isaac Onyuge, Mariam Abdullahi Mbaruk, Leonida Kerubo Omuse, Engineer Kare Orege, and Professor Bernard Muok. ODM Executive Director will serve as an ex-official member. Kenya Kwanza, on the other hand, has picked Emmanuel Nzai, Dr. Daniel Mwai, Bramwell Simiu, Mohamed Hassan, and Dr. Cecilia Ngetich. UDA Executive will also serve as an ex-official member. The meeting also reviewed government's milestones, with President William Ruto maintaining that his administration is delivering on its promises to Kenyans.
One, regional interests, diversity, ethnic interests, and other interests that would matter to the country. So I think that it's a debate that is just beginning.
What remains now will be whether the head of state will be able to calm the storm within the ruling party UDA, even as the country gears up to the next year's general election. Mike Kagwango, TV47 from Naivasha.
All right, and even before I give my panelists an opportunity to discuss that, let's get the views of people in Mombasa about what happened in Naivasha. Quinto Afula is our reporter there. A very good morning to you, Quinto. Watu wa Mombasa wanasema nini kuhusu habari hii ya ODM UDA?
Thank you so much, Fred Ndimuli. Asubuhi njema na kujia moja kwa moja kutoka kisiwani Mombasa, na kama kawaida kila Jumanne tunakutana hapa na wakazi katika bunge hapa kaunti ya Mombasa, na hii leo tuko katika bunge la eneo la Majengo, ambapo tutakuwa tunahusisha tu wakazi kusikia maoni yao kutokana na masuala ambayo yanatokea na matukio mengi ya hapo jana na vile vile mwaka mmoja hadi uchaguzi mkuu. Matarajio yao ni yapi? Tuanze tu kwa jina, utueleze unaitwa nani na utueleze mwaka mmoja kuelekea uchaguzi. Matarajio yako ni yapi? Ni nini unataka kufanyika?
Naitwa Jeremiah. Mimi naitwa Jeremiah. Na ile mambo mimi naweza kukubali kama ikiwa tunangojea mwaka wa 2027 watu wachukue kura kwa wingi, wachague ile kiongozi ambayo wanapenda. Ya, na hii ingine ni mambo ya kushikana kwa ODM na UDA. Hii kwanza ni kitu kimoja, yenyewe si mbaya, lakini sasa wale watu ambao waliteuliwa kwa job ile ambaye ya kuangalia mambo ya election, sasa ndio tujiulize hao watu watatoa kura zao wapi? Wale watu wanakura kweli? Hiyo kitu ni moja ambapo tunatakikana tujiulize. Halafu kitu kingine tunaangalia ni mahali ambapo rais ametoka na ODM ambapo ile ambayo wameungana nayo watapata hizi kura za kutosha kweli? Hiyo nayo pia inatakikana iangaliliwe vizuri kabisa. Manake sisi tunaona kama ni wale watu wengine wa opposition pande hizi zingine, tunaona ngome fulani zina watu wa kisawasawa, lakini sasa kama akina Sifuna unakuta kule ni kama mtu ameblock. Ukikuta mtu kama Gachagua ameblock, ukikuta mtu kama Kalonzo Musyoka ameblock zile kura. Wale ODM hata kama wanashikana, block zao zimetoka wapi? Manake unaona ODM ni kama imepasuka katikati. Kuna pande moja ya kina Orengo na Sifuna na huyu mwingine anaitwa Mr. Owino, na huko kwingine unakuta Oburu na watu wengine. Sasa unakuta ODM sasa kuleta watu pamoja ati na UDA, mimi sioni mahali ambapo
asante
wanaweza kutusaidia.
Na asante, acha tusikie vile vile maoni ya mwingine. Mzee, anza tu kwa jina. Rais anasema kwamba lazima washinde. Matamshi kama hayo kwako unaonelea vipi? Anza kwa jina.
Kwa jina mimi naitwa Solomon. Mimi ni mzee na mimi kitu najaribu kusema kuhusu hiyo tamshi. Mimi tamshi kama hilo sioni ukweli wake, na naona rais amekosea sana kutoa tamshi kama hilo. Ni kama kwamba atambui watu wanamsikia. Wakati watu wanamsikia kwa ruka kama hiyo anaongea, ina maana gani sisi tutarajie kupiga kura kwake? Sisi tunangojea kuamua sisi mshindi ni nani. Yeye tayari ameamua ni yeye mshindi. Mtu kama huyo, ujui maneno kama hayo inatia chuki kwa watu, hata kutokumpigia kura, hata wale walikuwa wakimpenda kutompigia kura. Kwangu mimi naona hiyo ni kosa ameteleza kwa mdomo, anastahili kujirekebisha. Asanteni.
Asante, tusikie kijana. Ndoa ya ODM na UDA, maoni yako ni yapi?
Okay, ndoa ya ODM na UDA naona ni kitu kingine kizuri sana. Kulingana na hii mkutano yenye inafanyika Naivasha, kuleta 250 MPs si kazi nyingine rahisi. Na unaweza leta 250 out of 290. You total MPs yenye tuko nayo kwa parliament are 290. Na kumaanisha only 40 were missing. Kumaanisha 250 wako na government. Na kuleta 46 senators si kazi nyingine kirahisi. Kumaanisha kuleta 46 out of 47 plus nominated, kumaanisha 46% ya senators wako na nani? Wako na president. Kuleta 20 governors out of 47 governors si kitu kingine kirahisi. Na ameleta wale jamaa pamoja, kumaanisha huyu jamaa Mr. Rais President hako na hakika kuwa 2027 tukifika 2027 August atachaguliwa.
Sawa, asante. Tusikie kwa anasema kwamba rais kwa sababu ana viongozi wengi ataingia. Maoni yako ni yapi?
Mimi maoni yangu,
jina, anza kwa jina.
Kwa majina naitwa Steve, mimi ni mkaaji wa huko Mombasa. Kwa kitu yenye nafanya Ruto arudi mamlakani kulingana na vile yeye mwenyewe anasema ni ile kutenda kazi kufanya kwake. Ndio atafanya William Samoei Ruto afanye. Kama Ruto anasema kila Mkenya lazima apate huduma ya Mkenya, ndio itafanya Ruto, si ile kile ukabila. Umesikia? Ndio itafanya Ruto arudi mamlakani. Na ile kitu Ruto amefanya miaka mitatu ndio itafanya ile Ruto. Ingekuwa tu hao marais wenye wametoka wangekuwa shafanya Kenya mpaka mahali Kenya imefikia, hata Ruto angefanya kazi nyingi. Ingekuwa tu kila mtu ana kazi yake anazofanya.
Kuna mmoja hapa amesema kwamba mpasuko wa ODM huenda ukaathiri umaarufu wa rais. Labda kulingana na we, mpasuko wa ODM na ndoa ya ODM UDA unaathiri vipi hatua za rais kutaka kurejea mamlakani?
Hiyo ni mambo ya kawaida, ni chechechezo ya siasa. Kila mtu pia atoe maoni yake, na wewe hata mimi najua maelekeo ya ODM. Unajua watakuja kushikana na Ruto arudi mamlakani. Hiyo ndio gosi, hata kila kwa nyumba lazima mzozane, hata kila mtu aende disparate, lakini baadaye mnakaa pamoja mnatoa maelekeo. Hiyo ndio maoni naweza toa mimi.
Sawa, asante sana. Kwa sababu ya muda, mwenzangu Fred, hayo ni maoni ya wakazi. Kwa sababu ya muda, kwa sababu ya muda, sawa, kwa sekunde ya kwa sababu.
Mimi naitwa Ali Mustafa Barasa, mimi ni Mbalia. Sisi bana, katika muongozo wa katika ndoa ya UDA na ODM hawataelewana. Hakuna venye unaweza acha party leader, na ambapo hata jana venye uliona na wakatoka Naivasha wakiwa wamenyamaza, Oparanya au kuwa Njoga au kuwa nao ndio wanatakikiwa. Oburu akasoma laini mbili akasema hizo zingine macho haioni. Hawezi elewana baba. Ile kukusanya senators venye mheshimiwa amesema ama wabunge hawatamweka Ruto, kumweka Ruto pale. Ruto mwenyewe akasema bana, tusipoungana tumalize hiyo upinzani kituweza sisi tukatarini. Bana, UDA na ODM hakuna mahali wanaenda tayari. Tuweke Sifuna, KTN, NTV mniumulize. Sifuna ndio inatosha.
Sawa, asante sana. Hayo ni maoni yako wakazi wa kaunti ya Mombasa. Kwa hiyo kutoka hapa kaunti ya Mombasa naregesha kwako studio Fred.
Asante sana Quinto Afula, ripota wetu pale Mombasa, na kwa kutafuta na kupata maoni ya wakazi pale kisiwani Mombasa. That's what we want to talk about. When we began, we talked about the kind of disarray, or we may call it disunity, in the United Alternative Government. Two cartoons have actually talked about that, what's really happening there. But we can see on this other side, Bwana Mutambu, it's also not looking very rosy, that ODM is already making demands on the very first meeting, before even the coalition talks, that the number 2 slot or the running mate position has to be for them. How much of a problem do you foresee this creating for President Ruto heading towards the election?
Before I answer that, allow me to correct something which my friend here, Bote, said, that he blames the parliament for not amending the constitution. Constitution is Kenyan's business. Every Kenyan. Article 257, if I'm right, says any Kenyan can initiate private bill to petition Parliament to amend the Constitution. So when we throw stones to members of Parliament, and I'm not their lawyer, neither am I their spokesman, it is collective responsibility of all Kenyans, not only the members of Parliament. If there is any Kenyan who has proposed amendment on the Constitution, and it has not been acted upon by members of Parliament, then we can blame them. But they have not, nobody has done so. As members of Parliament are seated pretty, waiting for the days to pass, so is Kenyans. They are not acting. So Kenyans should go there, including Bote, should
you
sit down.
that they are sitting pretty.
Everybody, including us. I'm talking about Kenyans, not Parliament.
Okay.
Kenyans are sitting pretty,
bills,
not taking actions on what need to be done in terms of constitution amendment is concerned. Asking about what is happening in Muli, I don't see anything wrong there. I am a Christian, and I'll refer you to Matthew 19:27. That is when negotiation started. You remember those gentlemen who were called by Jesus to go and start fishing with him, and preaching with him, and they said, now we are leaving everything, our fish, our people, to follow you. What is there for us? So there's nothing wrong with the ODM asking what is there. We are joining you, Mr. President. What is there for us? So ODM are right. They are demanding. And if, mind you, power is not given, it's taken. That is the rule. So you have to fight for your position. And fighting for your position does not mean it's division of coalition. No, you are just negotiating for what you're getting. There's nobody who goes to the table and they don't ask for anything or they don't demand nothing. So this is not something new. For me, I'm not surprised that ODM are asking this. And I don't know why we are taking it as news, because it has been there before. The day Baba joined Raila joined Ruto, that is the time we started hearing about Wanga becoming this, even before Kidiki was named. There was, that narrative was circulating around. So it's not something new. And it is within the rights of ODM to demand for positions. We hear every day Mr. Shears Kashagwa telling us that he demanded this, he negotiated for this, he negotiated for these people to be, he negotiated for his people. So negotiation is there, it's not something new. Even me, I'll negotiate. I will negotiate. When I sit down in the around the table with the president, I'll negotiate for my people. It happens. And that is the role of a leader. Because the government will not sit down and start calculating magics and know what is the problem in Tana River, what problems are there in Ukambani. They get information from their leaders. And by so, people go there and say, we want this, we want this, we want that. So ODM is right. I don't think it's a crack.
It's back to the game of numbers that we started with, that yes, now everyone has put their calculators out on the table, and just as we are seeing on the side of the United Alternative Government, is the same thing happening here with ODM. As long as they can guarantee some numbers, they can make demands.
You know, numbers or without numbers, when you sit on the table and you join forces, you must negotiate for your side. That is given. About the game of numbers, I'm looking at this paper and I'm wondering who will deliver what. You know, the numbers could be there, yes, in that region. But who will deliver? Who will deliver those votes? That is the question we are asking. And looking at this matrix, if the numbers is anything to go by, then who should be the leader? Those are other questions people are asking themselves. So, yes, in Mount Kenya there's 2.7. What guarantee do we have that the 5.7 will come in one bus?
Isn't it the same question that the president should be asking ODM, that can you guarantee these numbers from a certain region, whether Western Kenya, Coast region, or even Nyanza itself?
Of course, if you give demands, then you must say what you are bringing on the table. And that is what I'm seeing will lock other people out. Because whether we like it or not, there will be that question.
So it is the same question across the
table?
Yes.
And not only on UDA, even on the other side. We have had that narrative. It is there. And that is what locks other candidates out.
This measure will be a big discussion, yes.
Be convincing enough that we'll be able to deliver this.
Yes. Many people have said that coalition building is not the easiest thing, and that eventually we would end up with more than a two-horse race. As it is right now, no single candidate, not even the president, according to the latest polling, is able to marshal the 50% plus one. Do you foresee that such fragmentation across board, in as far as coalition building is concerned, could force us into a presidential runoff come 2027?
There will be no presidential runoff, Fred, and I can tell you. And before I tell you what's happening in Naivasha and what I would see happening in the future, I want to call out Joe for calling my party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, Mr. Shares. And on the same statement, even before he moves on, claims that he will go and negotiate something for his people. With what? What are you going to negotiate to your people with? Just, you know, you cannot continue crucifying a man who just asked something for his people. And he have already told us that he will go and ask and negotiate for the Ukambani people if he is on the table. That is exactly what they crucified him for. It is very hypocritical to assume that he is not allowed to say anything about his people, but everybody else in the country is allowed to say something for his people. Let's leave that. In Naivasha, I can tell you there will be a lot of trouble there. We've seen what's happening in terms of how they are negotiating and how they are, they've been saying. We've started with Ngombe Nusu and all those kind of things, the crying call and demands from ODM, and now we're here. But the issue of the deputy, or what I call the running mate for the president, will be a hot potato for them. So as much as they are looking into what's going to happen at the United Alternative Government, let's also look at what's going to happen in their own house as well. Yesterday, we had a walkout from those members of parliament from the mountain region because they will be questioned by the people they are intending to bring into the table as far as support is concerned on what happened, and a seat of deputy president was removed and reassigned to another person. This is something that is definitely giving the president a hard time, whether they accept it or not, in regards to how to allocate the seat of the deputy president. Because it is actually now going to confirm to the people of the mountain that they have nothing in that government. And they were trying to bring in the narrative of Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West. There's nothing like that. And I am also telling the current deputy president, be careful, because can happen. And you know what can happen? It can also be written somewhere that immediately after a defense has been successful, which we know it will not, you are going to be kicked out, just like the other one who was kicked out. There's nothing that cannot happen. But in terms of alignment and the numbers thereof, it's only someone And I'm sitting in between. I'm sandwiched by former members of parliament and current member of parliament. People who understand and who have been into an election and won. And they know what took them to win was numbers. So they would not have won that election if the numbers in the ballot did not accumulate to a winning, to the majority, what I would call the majority vote. That is what is going to happen in this country. That's why I'm telling you there will be no runoff. The clarion call from the United Alternative Government, when you see the likes of Sifuna agitating and everybody, when you see Kalonzo Musyoka, when you see my party leader Rigathi Gachagua and all that, when you see all those people, eventually they will have to agree. And when I was here, I remember I told you, last time we were with you here on the table, I told you the call behind that particular joint ticket for a single flag bearer from all the, what I would call the opposition agitating members is not theirs. It's not the principal's call. It is Kenyan call because Kenyans want to present a singular candidate as a flag bearer against William Ruto because Kenyans has one particular intention and agitation to send this government home. Finally, and the numbers are telling it in terms of regional marshalling. You need to also look at that. But I think those who want to live in denial can continue doing it until it happens. That is what happened in 2022 when the then deputy president was having the numbers on his side, but the government was also in denial. And they talked of deep state and many other things, and he beat them. As much as the margin was slim, they were beaten. That is the same thing that is going to happen here. Only that this time around the margin will be wider. But I need to also mention one thing as I wind up on this one. I've had Senator Mungatana congratulate the president for bringing in the issue of 2060. Now they are, they are removing the Hasra thing and putting in 2060 vision there. I mean, I don't want to go into the details because that is not the topic of the day, but I need to ask a very simple question. What happened to Vision 2030? Where are we with Vision 2030? Can we first go there and realize what it is those men and women? This Senator Mungatana was in Kibaki's team. They seem that they never learned anything from that. Vision 2030, what happened to it?
All right.
If we would be able to account for what happened to Vision 2030 and then calculate the gains thereof and what it is that we've not been able to gain, we can be able to build from that particular vision now that we are already there. We have found ourselves in 2030. Now that we're already there, can we be told that this is what we are building from? But I agree with him on one particular thing in regards to the formula of development there. Because once we do a devolved funds in 15% of the nation, whatever is left is what is being misused. If we can be able to have a formula that is constitutionally, agreeable, I would be happy to see that now what is left in the national government, it is still constitutionally being, devolved or being sent into development. And that means most of the regions that have been left undeveloped, like my constituency in Nyandarua called Ndaragwa, will be developed.
All right. Senator, I respond to that.
Right to respond.
Very briefly, because our time is almost done. Yeah.
He called me out when I mentioned his party leader, the one he's glorifying. And he said, I'm calling Mutambo out for mentioning or calling Mr. I don't know what.
He doesn't even know his. You can tell.
So
you can tell the disrespect.
The point I have is
he doesn't know him.
The point is
what kind of disrespect?
The point is this: tit for tat is a fair game. This man Gachagua is being heard everywhere calling.
And I don't want us to discuss someone else who's not here.
He's the master of calling names. Is the master of calling names. Okay. Is the one who calls Deputy President Soprano.
Has he ever mentioned your name?
Gentlemen, because of time, let's go into let's not go into that.
You see, when you are in public,
his match. When you're not his match.
No,
let the big men.
Gentlemen,
no. We are not comparing here, and I don't know what you mean.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Allow me to discuss. Allow me to talk to Senator.
That he called another Soprano.
Senator, it's you we're listening to now.
Yes.
Even as you respond to whatever they're saying. We are back to the discussions in Naivasha. I'm assuming as a member of UDA, you're probably there.
Yes.
And I remember some time last year when you're at State House, you are the one who stood up and raised concerns about the kind of space that ODM would take up in any coalition talks.
Yes.
Do you feel that your concerns back then were addressed, or do you think that this is now the opportune time to address those concerns?
Okay, maybe first of all I should start by saying I was in Naivasha the entire day yesterday. And I didn't see a walkout. But obviously, we have different interpretation to these matters, but I didn't see a walkout. What we had agreed was that because the program is running short of time, we will not have a break. Any person who wants to go out, take tea, what, until we finish all the items, and then we break out for lunch. So I don't remember any time, and I was sitting with some of our colleagues from that side where the allegation is coming that the people of the mountain walked out. I didn't see that. So that is number one.
So there was agreement, generally, there was agreement with whatever was discussed?
There was agreement. I mean, there was agreement that we shall negotiate. Number one, that manifestos from both ODM and UDA and the allied parties will appoint people who will then look at the manifesto so that we'd have a common manifesto. And the team that was mentioned there, 5 from ODM, 5 from our side, is going to sit and come up with a joint manifesto, because it was agreed that the party leader, Honorable Senator Dr. Oburu, and the party leader, Honorable His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, will name 5 people each. So these 10 people are going to come with a joint manifesto. But aside from that, we also agreed that there will be a framework on how we'll approach the campaigns of the 2027, including those negotiations about who takes what within that framework. So again, Dr. William Ruto is appointing 5 and Dr. Oburu Odinga is appointing 5.
Question.
Yes.
Was the issue of the running mate discussed? Was there any agreement on that? Or is it part of what will be discussed?
It will be part of what will be discussed, because when we say the framework will be set by those that President William Ruto will, Party Leader William Ruto and Party Leader Dr. Oburu are going to appoint 5. They were not appointed yesterday. Those 5 and these 5 are going to sit down now to create the framework of how we will approach the general election in terms of the politics, the political arrangement and everything. So
another question, sorry to ask this because it's for clarity.
Yes.
Because according to a reporter, is that once the media left and it was now a closed-door meeting, the issue of the running mate was raised and that it may have caused some acrimony.
Not true, because the media left after Governor Arati had spoken.
Okay.
Remember, there were people who were chosen to speak, and the session that was closed door was when we were now, it has gone to plenary. So everybody was saying whatever they feel, because we had told our leaders, Dr. Oburu and Dr. William Ruto, that we wanted space to speak whatever we feel that needs to be taken into account. And I remember I was the first one to take the floor, and I discussed about equity in terms of development across the country. That we are going into a war, all of us, we are agreeing that we are fighting to win. But then after we win, tumeenda tumeua mnyama, sasa tutagawana hii nyama namna gani?
Yes.
I mean, how is the country going to have equitable development across the nation? So I remember raising that issue. And then other people also raised, oh, this department needs to do this and so on. And the politics of the whole arrangement when we are going to elections. But this is what I want to tell you, Fred, that, you know, sometimes when you hear people talking and getting excited, I keep telling myself, I've been around this space for 24 years, since 2002, when I was first elected. And I've seen it, and I've seen people coming, people going, I've seen excited people and so on. At the end, my conclusion, the bravado bravado. And if we just watch, even, I don't know if you watch boxing matches and wrestling matches, a lot of the people who chest thump and the people who are less quiet, less, show-offs, you will find many times the people who beat their chest and whatever, they don't make it. And I want to give a piece of advice to our friends in the opposition. When you see 250 members of parliament congregate in one place, when you see 46 senators congregate in one place, when you see 20 governors plus congregate in one place, and then when you hear 2 major political parties that have mobilized to the polling centers are talking one language, because I can tell you, even the issue of deputy president, that is not going to be a big issue. People will agree, because what we have at stake is bigger than what we will lose if we don't agree.
Okay.
And then I want to say this again. Do not underestimate the fact that...
As your final comment.
As my final comment. Yes. Do not underestimate, and Kenyans are not stupid, that Rironi Mount Summit road that has been a problem for us forever. Every Christmas, we want to go in Go. Every, Pasaka, it's being made and we can see it. Somebody went there and said, it's a joke, and was talking from Waminyoro. People are not serious. When you see somebody, Kenyans are sitting in a house, and they used to sit in a slum.
Okay.
And then somebody sits and talks about chicken. We have credible things that we have done in this administration. Kenya, as we are talking now in agriculture, let me just say one thing. I sit in the Pan-African Parliament.
Because of time, yeah.
So I can say with authority the kind of respect this nation has come.
Okay.
And we have moved from, it was number 8, now we are the 6th strongest economy in Africa. On milk, now we are the biggest producer of milk in Africa.
Okay.
So there are many things that we can say about this, and Kenyans are not stupid. After all this, I am this tribe, I am the other tribe, or whatever, but who is fixing my road?
Okay.
Who is helping me?
I only have 2 minutes, and I need to give each of them
health care.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to say we are going into this election confident that we will deliver this government.
Okay. A minute each, just for your final comments. Kindly, I'll ask you not to revisit the TIF. Just a parting shot, Bwana Mutambo.
My parting shot, it may also go to where you don't want it to go. But I want to say that there are no emotions in politics. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And you have to respect it. So it is not that it is only this one who is right. All others are wrong. I mean, all Kenyans, they have their own right to have their own thinking and their own way of expressing themselves. And they have to be respected either way. It cannot be, it is this one who is right, the rest are all wrong. No, I just wanted to tell about that. Then as I conclude, is that where we are heading to, we have a country to build. This Kenya is our country. This is where we belong. And it does not belong to a particular community or to a particular tribe or a particular person. It is for all of us, and all of us are equal in this country. There's no one who will say, you know, I have these numbers, so I'm the best, I'm the one, blah, 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 blah. No, 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 no. Whether you have 1 million followers, the other one has got 2, there is no equality in that. You cannot say this one, you have no match. We are all equal in the eyes of law and in the eyes of God and in the eyes of Kenya. That's what I wanted to tell. But
thank you so much. Bwana Mbote.
Thank you, Joe. Fred, I need to talk about 2 things because I know I have 1 minute. One is that I know what they are doing in Naivasha. They're trying to say that they want to do a joint manifesto. I want to ask respectfully Senator Dan Mungatana, what happened to their manifesto? Where is it? What have they done with it? They've not done anything to that manifesto. And that is why we are actually telling them that you haven't done enough to be re-elected. But I also need to say something. The numbers he's trying to talk about, those are not Kenyans' numbers. Those are individuals who are elected and they now serve themselves and serve their master. They are not serving Kenyans. So as much number they would be able to accumulate in Naivasha, it doesn't reflect the will of the people, because we've seen it before when people said no to something, but they ended up saying yes. We can even refer to the finance bill, where they voted to the man, but they ended up crunching our country into chaos when Kenyans were saying that's not what we said. That's the same thing, because nobody asked for their people the permission to go to Naivasha. They are going there on their own peril. They are going there on their own will, and of course to serve their masters. But then again, I've even heard my good friend Senator Mugatana talk about milk, that Kenya is the biggest producer of milk. How much money are Kenyan getting at the farm gate? Nyandarua, where I come from, we are the biggest producers of milk in terms of numbers. That is the best environment we have there. But farmers are being paid at a price they cannot even break even. Farmers are not getting anything. Those are some of the things that we are saying. But then again, I have heard also my good friend Joe, as I finalize, talk about, community that is thinking that they are more important than others. We have seen this, and that is what we are calling out. That you cannot continue calling out a community because of their stance. When our community was supporting the current government, they were very good people. So we need to stop, redirecting, comments or negative comments to other community because of their own decision. Because when they made a decision, otherwise, previously, you did not call them out. Otherwise, I agree with everybody that we have a country to take care of, we have a country to live in, and we need a country that is harmonious. But most importantly, when you do not serve your country right, please know that you don't have to win. And when you call out and say we must win, you need to first ask Kenyans whether they are going to give you an opportunity. It's a privilege to serve Kenyans, and once Kenyans tell you just go home, please accept to go home.
Thank you so much. Ikwa Wambote, political analyst, Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, and Dr. Danson Mugatana, Senator Tana River, our panelists this morning on TV47, State of the Nation. Exactly 364 days to the next election, which, as a court said, it was supposed to be today, but we're going to be having it on 10th of August, 2027. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. After the break, we'll be having a different conversation on technology. John Wambugu, Technology, Innovation and Digital Industries Leader. He will be in studio with Arno Dida. Fact or misinformation, check before you share. 1 year to 2027. Still discussing matters to do with election and technology. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Good morning.